Captain Hook had a dreadful nightmare. The crocodile who had swallowed an alarm clock was catching up with him at last. The relentless beat of the clock was deafening as the enormous jaws opened wide. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Hook could feel the heat of the beast's breath, the gleam of its sharp teeth just inches away from his face. His peg leg felt as if it had turned to lead, weighing him down, refusing to move as he tried to escape. He swung his sword wildly, but the crocodile only grinned, its cold, unblinking eyes locked onto him. Tick-tock, tick-tock. The sound grew louder and louder, pounding against his skull like a drum of doom. The crocodile lunged forward, its mouth open impossibly wide. Hook let out a scream, and suddenly he was awake. With a strangled cry, the captain leapt out of his bunk, tangling himself in his blanket and landing on the wooden floor of his cabin with a loud thud. His breath came in gasps, his heart hammered against his ribs, and yet the ticking hadn't stopped. His eyes darted around the darkened cabin. The flickering lantern light cast eerie shadows on the wooden walls, but nothing seemed out of place. Still, the sound was there, tick-tock, tick-tock. It filled the room, as loud and real as if the beast itself were standing beside him. His blood ran cold. With a strangled yell, he tore open the door and burst onto the deck. "Find that crocodile," he roared. The pirate crew, groggy and startled, stumbled out of their hammocks, their nightshirts flapping as they tripped over one another in their hurry to obey. The night was frigid, and their breath curled in misty wisps in the air, but no one dared to hesitate. When Captain Hook was in a foul mood, especially one involving that crocodile, no pirate was foolish enough to linger behind. Hook scrambled up the rigging, climbing higher and higher until he reached the crow's nest, where he could survey the deck below. His hands clenched the ropes tightly, his eyes darting across the ship, searching for any sign of the beast. Below, the crew stumbled about, peering into barrels, checking behind crates, even looking over the railing into the dark waters below. Smee, still half asleep, rubbed his eyes and muttered, "I can't hear any tick-tock on deck." The other pirates grumbled their agreement. They could hear nothing but the occasional creak of the ship and the rustling of the cold wind. At last, after searching every nook and cranny, the pirates were convinced there was no crocodile aboard. Smee, eager to calm his captain, clambered up the rigging, the wind beams cold beneath his fingers. But as he climbed higher and higher, something changed. A sound reached his ears, a steady, rhythmic ticking. He froze, his breath catching in his throat. "Shiver me timbers." He gasped. It sounds as if the crocodile is in the crow's nest too. Heart pounding, Smee peered nervously over the edge. But when his eyes adjusted to the darkness, he saw nothing unusual, only the shivering form of Captain Hook, gripping the mast tightly, and yet the ticking was louder than ever. Smee frowned. Then, all at once, he chuckled. "That noise isn't a clock, Captain," he declared, his voice breaking with laughter. "It's the sound of your heart beating. Because you're scared, your ticker is working overtime." For a long moment, there was silence. Then, "GRR," Hook growled, his face burning with humiliation. "Enough." He waved his hook dismissively and scrambled down the rigging, shoving past me. "I'm going back to bed." The crew sighed in relief as the captain stormed back to his cabin, slamming the door behind him. But sleep did not come easily. Hook tossed and turned, pulling the blankets over his head. But every time he closed his eyes, he could see the crocodile's wide, toothy grin, but fear clung to him like a shadow. Finally, with a grunt of frustration, he sat up. "This is ridiculous," he muttered to himself. He was Captain James Hook, the terror of the seas. No crocodile should haunt his dreams. Determined to rid himself of the fear once and for all, he decided on a plan. The crocodile had to be destroyed. The next morning, Hook emerged onto the deck, his eyes shadowed with exhaustion, but burning with determination. "Men," he barked, "we are setting sail at once." The pirates exchanged wary glances. "But, Captain," Smee ventured cautiously, "we don't even know where the crocodile is." Hook smirked. "Oh, we will find him, and when we do, I shall personally ensure he never troubles me again." The pirates hesitated. No one particularly wanted to hunt down the beast that had nearly eaten their captain. A glare from Hook sent them scurrying to their posts. The Jolly Roger set sail across the waters of Neverland, its black flag billowing against the wind. For days, they searched. They followed every rumor, every sighting, every hint of movement in the water. The crew grew restless, uneasy. The crocodile was no ordinary beast. He was a creature of patience, lurking beneath the surface, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And one evening, as the sun dipped beneath the horizon, they finally spotted him. A dark shadow slid through the water, barely disturbing the surface. Then teak-tock, teak-tock. Hook's blood turned to ice. "There!" he shrieked, pointing wildly. "Man the harpoons! Load the cannons!" The pirates scrambled into action. The crocodile, unbothered by the commotion, drifted closer, its yellow eyes fixed on the ship. Hook's hand shook as he raised his sword. This was it, his chance to end his nightmare once and for all. The cannons fired. A massive splash erupted as the cannonball struck the water, but when the smoke cleared, the crocodile was gone. Hook's breath hitched dot comma then dash comma tik tock. The sound was right beneath them. The captain's face went pale. Then suddenly a massive tail burst from the water, slamming into the ship. The Jolly Roger rocked violently, sending pirates tumbling across the deck. Hook grabbed onto the mast, his hook digging into the wood. His heart pounded as the beast surfaced, its enormous jaws opening wide. Hook let out a strangled scream. "Retreat! Retreat!" The crew didn't need to be told twice. The pirates abandoned the cannons and scrambled for safety. The ship lurched forward as the crocodile sank back beneath the waves. His mission complete. Hook, still clinging to the mast, trembled. His nightmare would never end. As long as the crocodile lived, the ticking would never stop.